Attendee room getting packed. A lot of familiar names. Great, it's gonna be a good evening. Introducing myself a little bit, I'm Victor Sanchez. I am the Long Beach Project Director with Lane. I'll be your pre-host for tonight. Big welcome, folks, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to everyone tuning in too via Facebook. I think we're on Twitter as well as YouTube. We're multimodal here at People State of the City. Why don't folks let us know, we're celebrating 10 years tonight. Amazing activism. This event, oddly enough, started in the living room. Donia, who's one of our MCs, the co-founder, along with a few folks that are behind the scenes today. So let us know in the chat, when was your first People State of the City? And if it's your first one, welcome. Thanks, Hollis. I appreciate that. Use the chat. Let us know. When was that first People State of the City memory? 2014. Awesome. First timer. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome, Sabrina. Awesome. This event started, a bunch of activists got together and said, you know what? The mayor has their State of the City. Why can't we have a people's response? And ever since, this event has been really core to keeping things central, keeping it real, keeping it grounded in the needs and the vision of the community. Right, sharing our story, the story of you, residents, of our most vulnerable residents. And so it's been pretty amazing to be a part of it. I'm lucky to play this small little role here tonight. I'm excited to see more folks coming in, more folks tuning in. Let us know what parts of Long Beach you're coming in from. What's your zip code? If you're not in Long Beach, that's okay too. All right, 90805, 90802, hey, 90808. Welcome. Awesome, Great Panthers in the house. Yes, if you're affiliated with an organization, a neighborhood association, anyone, throw them down. Let us know you're here. See how far reaching we are. CCFA's in the house. 90807. ESA's in the house. Long Beach Forward. Lafla. Hey there, Suzanne. Thanks for joining us. Libre. Beto, happy early birthday. Free yoga at Colorado Lagoon. Somebody better go check that out. Awesome. Una gran bienvenida a todos los que se unen a nosotros a través de diferentes plataformas de redes sociales, por el Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Bienvenidos. We're excited to have everybody. All right, North Pine Neighborhood Alliance. Awesome. I was telling folks earlier, when was your first People State of the City experience? Feel free to drop in that year of when you first attended this event. And welcome to the first timers. We hope this gets you invested, gets you more involved, gets you to come back next year. This event's all about building community power. Hey there, Jamie. 2016. I know, the years just kind of meld together after a while. Joanna, 2013. Wow, I think that's our most long-standing participant. Way to go. We have an exciting program for everyone. Just as a reminder, 10 years of amazing activism is what we'll be celebrating tonight. Long Beach has come a long way. We got a long way left to go. But it's an event like this that builds community, create alignment. Thanks to those that are joining us via the webinar link, those that are on Facebook, Twitter. Make sure to follow at MoveLB Forward, especially moving forward. bunch of different events that'll be coming up. I know we got people's budget will be announced soon. KGA's in the house. Big shout out to the Invest in Youth Long Beach Coalition. That's right, youth leading the way. Awesome. Some pop-ins in the house. This is great, y'all. It's good to see everyone. Good to see familiar names. You got people from all over town. Amazing. Lane's in the house. Woo. Awesome. Well, hey, Mary, way to join us. Well, folks, we got a really exciting program for you tonight. We'll get started here in a little bit. I do want to make sure that, we're making this event as accessible as possible. So we're trying to offer this in a couple different languages to allow community members to participate fully. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Jose, who's going to go ahead and just give us a quick rundown on how to enable translation. And we'll go ahead and jump in about a couple minutes.
Thank you, Victor. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jose Beltran. I'll be supporting with the general interpretation options. Also, Maggie Valenzuela and myself will be monitoring the chat and translating from English to Spanish. We do have options for Spanish and Khmer Zoom sessions. We'll be dropping those in the chat. And now to give you instructions for interpretation is Bo and also Julie. Bo, take it away.
Yes, បងប្អូនខ្មែរសូមជម្រាបសួរខ្ញុំជាអ្នកបកប្រែភាសាខ្មែរបើបងប្អូនណាចង់ស្ដាប់ភាសាខ្មែរសូមមេត្តាចុចអា globe ណាអាផែនដីសញ្ញាផែនដីតូចហ្នឹងយើងចុចអាហ្នឹងទៅហើយយើងបិទអា video Zoom ហើយអញ្ចឹងទៅយើងអាចស្ដាប់បានណាបងប្អូនខ្មែរយើងណាសូមអរគុណ Yes sir, I'm done.
Thank you, Bo. Julie, take it away.
Hola, bienvenidos a todos y para el evento de hoy vamos a tener interpretación en inglés y en español. Pronto van a ver en la pantalla las instrucciones y hello for instructions for interpretation in English. Today's session will be interpreted from English to Spanish. The interpretation glove icon will appear visible at the bottom of the screen to the right. Click the glove and choose your preferred language. Then you choose mute original audio. And pretty soon they're going to show you on the screen how it will look, on your computer or on your smartphone. I'm done with this slide, then they'll show you the picture of how to do it, okay? Y escoja su idioma preferido y en la sesión de hoy será interpretada de inglés a español. El icono o globo de interpretación será visible en la parte baja de su pantalla a mano derecha. Cuando lo vea, hágale clic en el globo y escoja su idioma preferido y también hágale Mute Original Audio. Ahorita va a aparecer en la pantalla cómo se ve en su computadora o en su teléfono inteligente.
All right. Thank you, Bo, and thank you, Julie. Can we please have the interpretation option initiated? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jose. Big welcome to everyone. Excited to have you all join us. Shout out to everyone joining us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And without further ado,
we'll give folks another second or two to choose their preferred option. This is very important over here, folks. Please follow these on-screen prompts. If you have any trouble, please chat me, Jose, and I'll be glad to help you out. Okay, I think we should be ready by now.
Cool. Thanks, Jose. Sorry about that. I'll go ahead and throw it over to Tonya, I believe.
Give me 1 second. Victor, we were not able to hear you. Can you also choose the a channel. And mute original audio. Okay. Can you test that for me, please?
There we go. Folks hear me now?
Alrighty, you're all good now.
All right, everyone. No, thank you so much, Jose. And thank you again for everyone for joining us. We're excited to get this event started. I'll go ahead and throw it over to Tonya.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this year's People's State of the City for our Long Beach community. My name is Tonya Reyes Uranga, and this year marks our 10th annual People's State of the City event and our very first virtual address. Hopefully it'll be the last one because I miss every single one of you. 10 years ago, I spoke at the first People's State of the City, and I, along with James Suazo, will be delivering part of tonight's address. Tonight, we're celebrating and honoring 10 years of community, of organizing and building power through the People's State of the City, bringing people together to embrace the power that we have to change the future for this city for good. Tonight, many of us are watching from Tongva land, home of Gabrielino Tongva people, and the sacred site of Pavunga, where Cal State Long Beach now sits. Together, we stand in solidarity with the Tongva people and all people fighting to protect indigenous lands. We've come a long way over to the past 10 years with organizing the People's State of the City and working through the victories, the challenges, the opportunities that have come from our struggle for a better city. When I delivered the first People's State of the City address in 2011, a little bit while ago, the community came together to create a vision for what justice, fairness, and equity in Long Beach could look like. But never in my dreams did I think I would be speaking again today and looking back at all that we have overcome and all that we have accomplished together. From tenant protections, to living wages, to workers' rights, and to the workers' fight for respect and safe working conditions, to winning actual dollars in the city's budget for the people's priorities. Progress has been made. Powerful institutions and powerful people have been challenged and in some cases defeated, whether they were the greedy hotel owners or an abusive police force. But more importantly, people have become empowered. They've become educated and engaged in building a movement that rejects racism, sexism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, capitalism, and all types of oppression towards our community. Today, there is an entire community of people building a city where working people have rights, families and their children can thrive, and everyone can live in dignity and fulfillment for generations to come. All because of the power of people coming together, even with all our differences, for a commitment to a better world. Together, we've overcome a lot to make Long Beach the city we all love and cherish. Tonight is a celebration of people like you who have committed to taking bold steps to fight for health and justice for all, regardless of who we are or even where we come from. We all have one thing in common. This is our city. This is my city. So let's take a look at a few moments from the past year.
So tired lately, hurting my back just to pay fees. But this body and spirit don't break. Catch me with my fist up high till we make it. Every corner of the world there is hope, 'cause we need a world where our families know there's no fear in the way that we love. No arrest or separation, no stolen wages or land. So get up, get up, get up. Hey, my city, can you hear me? We organize to be free. till we're doing fine, and everybody sleeps under a bed light. Keep on giving. Every breath is for a greater fight. It's something within our lives. It's okay to lean on me, 'cause we'll be golden till we're doing fine, and everybody sleeps under a bed light. Keep on giving. Every breath is for a greater fight. It's something within our lives. It's okay to lean on me, 'cause we'll be golden till we're doing fine, and everybody sleeps under a bed light.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James, and my pronouns are he, him, his. And I'll be carrying you through the rest of our address virtually at our 10th annual People State of the City. A month after we came together for the 2020 People State of the City, our neighborhoods, our city, and our world changed forever. Everyone has been impacted by this global pandemic, and people have reacted to the pandemic in different ways, whether it was fear, denial, sadness, anger, and the list goes on. How could something so small as a virus bring our entire society to its knees? And here at home, the pandemic has exacerbated all the issues that have been going on in our communities, and illness and job loss, mental health, and death. Black and Indigenous people and people of color, seniors, queer people, and undocumented immigrants are just some of the communities that make our city vibrant. Yet we've all been harmed by the increased digital divide, the academic neglect that has come from distance learning, and lack of economic resources for us to make ends meet. And let's be clear, these barriers are man-made. They're the direct result of decisions being made by government leaders, corporations, and institutions that value profit and money for a wealthy few instead of valuing human life and our greater humanity. While many of us have been harmed by the economic and social consequences of the pandemic, each community has been hit differently. Youth of color faced uphill challenges before the pandemic, making mental and emotional support for students an even greater need over the past year. Not only have young people abruptly transitioned to distance learning, they've had to be the caretakers of their siblings and family members, with some even becoming the breadwinners in their family just to make ends meet. Meanwhile, parents have been forced to juggle multiple responsibilities like never before while struggling to make ends meet and keep their homes during a global pandemic. For workers in the service industry, the sector has changed forever. Even the Port of Long Beach has continued to see record cargo numbers, while workers and truck drivers struggle to maintain their fight for workplace protections, fair pay, and healthcare. While hotels shuttered, it was the immigrant workers and working women who were hit the hardest when economic relief could not be provided by our government. And it has been grocery workers who, despite winning hero pay for an additional $4 an hour, still face job loss from greedy corporations like Kroger, who have seen record profits during the pandemic. For many, these challenges have become much more tangible, and people have begun to challenge the traditional ideas that stable housing, economic security, and healthcare should all be tied to our employment. As the pandemic continued month after month, many of us intimately felt the impact of what happens when there is no safety net. If we value service sector workers as essential workers, how will we treat workers to give them the dignity and respect that they deserve? As we've faced these dilemmas, it has been our neighbors, our community, and the people who have stepped up to take care of one another. For all the challenges we faced, it has been the power of the people that has helped us weather this crisis. Now, we're living through a renewed social movement, fighting for the value of Black lives, the delivery of racial and economic justice, and a commitment to the public good. This is how we move forward out of the pandemic. So answering this call means we have to have hard conversations and apply our values to actions, no matter what the scenario may land at our doorstep. So as vaccines have rolled out in our community, we have to work together to educate each other and protect one another. As migrant children come to our border, we must protect them and reunite them with families, not detain them. As we commit words to saying Black Lives Matter, we must invest in programs and services that work and not continue to fund racist and violent policing in our schools and communities. People like you and I are answering these calls. And as we've been struggling and striving through this whole pandemic, we're collectively experiencing a resurgence of community building and community organizing. Because we now see that in the past 10 years, all of that work, that's actually prepared us for this moment. That groundwork has been laid. People are getting activated. And so the question now becomes, what are you going to do to meet this moment within our movement?
Now is the time to continue building off the past decade and push for bold change within our communities, our city, and really our own lives. Change is scary for many of us, especially if you're my age. Yet change is inevitable, especially after this global pandemic. While the pandemic is not entirely over yet, we can never really return to normal, whatever your normal was. We're all working through this, how to rebuild our lives in this new world that's emerging. So we must continue to push each other and our decision makers, especially our decision makers, to take bold action so that we can achieve justice. This is the opportunity to not just play it safe, but be bold about the decisions and investments we must make to address the inequities that have held us back for far too long. We've experienced pain and suffering, the rise of fascism and systemic racism. We owe it to each other to create something beautiful after living through all this tragedy and trauma.
So let's create a city built off this new vision and actually readjust our priorities. An economy that is built for families of all backgrounds, community safety designed by the people most impacted, and abundant housing for all, regardless of your income. For over a year, we've been in survival mode, and that's been hard. Now, it's time to be in thriving mode. All of us have faced unique challenges during the pandemic, and many of us have a different understanding of the truth, society, and our relationship to one another. So as we ask ourselves, what do we truly value and what really matters to us moving forward, we can no longer unsee or hide the wholeness, fallibility, and humanity within one another. And it's this appreciation and love for people that will guide us how we make decisions about laws, resources, and how we actually choose to live with one another. This looks like changing the systems that touch our lives on a daily basis. And yes, it's what you're thinking. That means abolishing the police, defunding an outdated and outlived system of public safety, and reallocating those resources into the things that actually keep people safe, like housing, healthcare, mental health, and really strong community relationships. It means ending predatory surveillance on school campuses and preventing the Long Beach Police Department from sharing information like license plates with ICE agents.
We need to redefine and rebuild our personal and intergenerational relationships at home, especially in our schools and of course our government. The momentum and public consciousness that was created around anti-racist efforts like Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate will continue as long as we do the work needed within our own social circles to bridge the gaps and work towards empathy and understanding. It looks like getting involved in efforts to redesign and rebuild our public spaces and build a city that has a housing economy for all people, no matter how much money we have. Housing is a human right, but it took a pandemic for us to start making real progress to recognizing that. But work still remains, and if we want to ensure a safe and healthy home for everyone, we must continue pushing for real tenant protections, legal resources to fight unjust evictions, and new models of housing like community land trusts. But land trusts that are adequately funded to provide communities with stable and safe housing. It looks like reallocating resources to our city budget to support our progressive values. For the past 3 years, the People's Budget has provided a blueprint for how to allocate money towards community priorities that heal people instead of harm them. Community leaders and advocates made huge strides in winning multiple priorities this time within the Long Beach Recovery Act, including funds for language access, tenant protections, community land trusts, and more. As we head into the new budgeting process for the city, which is just around the corner, we call on the mayor and of course the city council into the new budgeting process, the mayor and the city council, and we urge them to adopt the latest People's Budget to divest from police, as was said, and reinvest in Black lives, communities of color, but almost all marginalized communities, really. It's easy to be overwhelmed by the weight of the world and the hurt that we carry day by day. I know it is tough out there. The challenges before us are big, but the power of the people is mighty when we come together to support each other and love each other. It's through these relationships that we will find the motivation, the vision, and the passion we need to last the distance. It's difficult, but we could do it together. Change will not happen overnight, nor will it happen without us putting in the work with one another. Real change does not come from the top down. It's up to us as a people to create those changes we want to see, block by block, street by street, house by house, home by home. This is how we move to a Long Beach where all people have worth, value, dignity, belonging, and liberation. So are you ready to get to work?
I am. So this is a call to action. Tonight, in just a brief moment, we walk you through the state of the city and through a vision and plan that depends on us working together to actually build this city that we know is possible. And it's going to take all of us coming together, just as Tonya said, to do that. Next, we're going to hear from community leaders and organizers across the city, inviting us to join their community-driven efforts. So I encourage you to listen, and if a group or cause speaks to you, join, organize, agitate, act, get involved, and actually change the city for the better, because it's up to us, and that's our way out of this pandemic. So first, our first group that I'm going to welcome is Gary with the California Faculty Association.
Good evening. Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. And this is such a great program. A big shout out I'd like to give, first of all, to Long Beach Rise and all the work that you all did pulling this together. My name is Gary Hittrick. I'm the co-president of the Long Beach chapter of the California Faculty Association, or CFA. CFA is an anti-racist social justice union representing 29,000 counselors, librarians, coaches, and faculty on 23 CSU campuses. Our Long Beach chapter alone represents over 2,500 at CSULB. Together, we fight to protect public education to ensure the CSU, the People's University, is accessible and continues to be the pathway into the middle class for first generation and students of color. Right now, CFA is in a fight for a new contract with a new chancellor who fails to prioritize faculty and students. Thus, we're calling on everyone to join us in our struggle to protect the People's University. Stay informed and get involved. We need your voice to ensure a strong contract based on rights, respect, and justice. And if you take a look in the the chat, I've dropped in two links. One for more information about our contract and our contract fight. And another, if you're interested, and I invite you all to send me your contact information. We will reach out to each and every one of you and let you know how you can help us in this struggle to protect the People's University and public education more generally. Thank you, and back to you, James.
Thanks, Gary. I'm going to leave a little bit of room just to allow for our interpreters to catch up. But this is very different for those of you who remember meeting in person and having an entire fair before our event. So next, I want to introduce Amy with the Invest in Youth campaign.
Cool, thanks, James. Hey everyone, I'm with Khmer Girls in Action and also here representing our Invest in Youth campaign. So hello, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. My name is Amy Horn and my pronouns.
Amy, can you give me a sec?
Oh, yes.
We can't hear you in the English channel. Can you choose the English channel?
Okay, let me go ahead and do that. Do you hear me now?
Yeah, you're all good.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Hey everyone, welcome. Thank you again for joining us tonight. My name is Amy Horn. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the field organizer with Khmer Girls in Action, and I'm excited to be representing KGA and our Invest in Youth campaign tonight. So right now, even with CDC COVID restrictions lifting up, we continue to feel the impacts of this pandemic on our hearts, our minds, and in our bodies. We believe that all young people deserve to live in strong communities that are well-resourced to help them overcome challenging times, no matter their race, their age, gender, ability, income, and zip code. However, our current reality shows deep poverty, right? Concentrated in neighborhoods where Black, Brown, and Southeast Asian youth live. COVID-19 and the recession increased barriers to health and economic sustainability for youth and families who are already struggling with intergenerational poverty, trauma, systemic violence, and oppression. Young people have always been at the forefront when it comes to radical and momentous change. These past few years, the Invest in Youth Coalition, community members, youth leaders, they surveyed, they phone banked, and they conducted focus groups in all 9 districts to identify key issues impacting the Long Beach community. Through this process, we were able to assess the lack of resources that communities didn't have, like the need to support transitional age youth, high school and college students, the need for more accessible public programs for young people to succeed, right? Their leadership effort resulted in the passing of Measure US last fall, and that generates new revenue that will invest in youth, local climate resilience effort, the adoption of the Long Beach Youth and Emerging Adult Strategic Plan, and the creation of the Long Beach Youth Fund, which were both approved by the mayor and city council members earlier this year. This generation has the tools, the solution, and the commitment to determine how we might govern differently as a society. There is an opportunity for young leaders to co-create, co-govern alongside city leaders to ensure that youth and their families have the support and resources they need to overcome the challenges and thrive. Even before the pandemic, leaders in Long Beach Invest in Youth campaign worked hard to gather budget priorities from residents in all 9 districts. We deserve an equitable and just recovery. And we need to hold our local electeds accountable to implement the Long Beach Youth Fund, guided by the goals and priorities of youth leaders and community members who shape the strategic plan. As voters and residents of Long Beach, join us tonight in sending a letter to the Mayor, Robert Garcia, to let him know that implementing the Youth Fund and Youth Strategic Plan is critical for an equitable COVID-19 recovery for youth and families. So more than 700 Long Beach residents and voters has already signed on to the letter. So I know there's a lot of folks here in Long Beach, more than 700 folks here in Long Beach that wants to sign on to our letter. So give me a thumbs up if you are down to sign on to a letter to the mayor so that way he can prioritize the Youth Strategic Fund and the Youth Plan. If so, Visit www.kgalb.org, click the link, send letter to mayor to boost our impact. This summer, we will be engaging voters to participate in our efforts. If you are interested in volunteering with us, please visit kgalb.org/volunteers. I'm a product of Positive Youth Development. I have joined the Khmer Girls in Action at the age of 15, and 15 years later, KGA is still investing in me and now my family. When our communities lead and shape budget priorities, we build a culture of care. We redefine collective safety to optimize opportunities and prevention, not punishment. And we protect a multi-democracy so that those who are systemically disenfranchised are the ones creating solution to the changes and barriers that we face. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for giving us the update on the Invest in Youth campaign. Next, we're going to have Myron join us from the Long Beach Gray Panthers.
Hello?
We can hear you, Myron. Hey, Myron.
I'm waiting to start my video. What's happening?
We can see you now. You're good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Myron Wolin, president of the Long Beach Gray Panthers. And the Gray Panthers are an advocacy group for the seniors of Long Beach. Our motto is Age and Youth in Action. Seniors are a vital part of Long Beach. We are considered one of the fastest growing part of the city. In the 2010 census, we were 13% of the city. And in the new 2020 census, we're expected to be 25% of the city. Low-income seniors are particularly vulnerable in our city. When they fall on hard times, they have few resources to recover. For about 1 in 4 seniors, Social Security provides at least 90% of their income. Seniors and others that are unjustly evicted from their home, whose rents are raised so high that they must leave and worry where they will live, could then fall into homelessness. In the last homelessness count in Long Beach, 28% of the homeless were older than 55 years old. We want the city to prevent unjust evictions and to increase funding for rental support. Every day, seniors come to the senior center asking to help with housing issues, and there is no one present trained to help them. That is why we want the city to have a senior housing specialist located at the senior center on 4th Street. We worry that seniors are food insecure and need help to feed themselves. We ask the city to acknowledge the problem and provide food resources for them. We want good, safe public transportation that meets our needs. We want to enhance and improve the senior centers and their programs. We would like the city to construct a new senior center, and we want the city to implement the Livable Cities Initiative it signed on to years ago. We need to reduce social isolation of seniors that was especially felt during the time of COVID by increasing access to the internet, by providing increased Wi-Fi availability in low-income areas and in senior buildings, by loaning out of tablets, and by education on use of such equipment. We need good, safe public transportation for our seniors so that we can walk the streets of our city without fear of harm. So, because all of these special needs of our seniors, the city needs to create an Office of Aging and Wellness that is structurally funded by the city budget that would help our seniors. Many nearby cities and counties, such as Los Angeles, have such a special office. We should join them. Our seniors are a vital part of our city. We fight for them to live a safe, healthy, and meaningful life. Please join us in our efforts. We meet every first Saturday of the month at 10:30 a.m. Email us at longbeachgraypanthers@gmail.com, which I'll put in the chat, to access our program. Fight for our seniors. Fight for the rights of our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Myron. And thanks to the Long Beach Great Panthers for joining us tonight, actually. Next, I want to introduce Mary with Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. My name is Mary Yoon. I am a faith-rooted organizer with Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice, also known as CLEW. We are a network of hundreds of interfaith leaders committed to building a just and sacred society together. Our mission at CLEW is to educate, to organize, mobilize faith community, to accompany our working class families, immigrants, and communities of color in the struggle for dignity and justice. Our work is deeply grounded in nonviolence and rooted in the faith values of mutuality, compassion, and justice. One of the campaigning on is accompanying port truck drivers in their struggle for justice at the ports of LA and Long Beach. Maybe many of you have known that 40% of the goods coming into the US come from our ports, Long Beach and LA, right in our backyard, my friends. However, most of our port truck drivers here have been systemically misclassified as independent contractors, and therefore they have been suffering from wage theft and the lack of safety net. And most of the drivers are people of color. As you can tell, this economic injustice is interconnected with systemic racism. And the pandemic exposes their vulnerabilities on another level. Trucking companies refuse to give them basic leave, healthcare, and PPE. And so we are advocating for 3 state bills right now to protect our port truck drivers. AB 794, SB 338, and SB 700. The good news is that these bills just passed the Senate and the Assembly. But we need more support from you all to ensure that these bills will be signed into laws in August. I will put in the chat the link to our CLEW support letter that you can sign on to demand justice and protection for our drivers. Will you join us in accompanying the drivers in this struggle? And if you're looking for more opportunities to join us in building our beloved community together, visit our website, cluejustice.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing the updates from Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. Next, I'm going to introduce Maggie and Victor with the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy.
Thanks, James. Hi, everyone. My name is Victor.
My name is Maggie Valenzuela.
We're with the Long Beach Coalition for Good Jobs and a Healthy Community, a project of LANE, the LA Alliance for a New Economy. We advance racial and economic equity by fighting for our most vulnerable workers and raising the standards for working families. We've helped win critical victories for hotel workers in the past, like Measure WW or Claudia's Law, as well as win paid sick days and other important worker victories this past year. We believe Long Beach should be a city that works for all.
We're currently working on a survey effort to better understand what is most important for the community and what issues matter most to you. It's been a challenging year, and the pandemic has magnified inequality. We want our organizing to reflect the needs and interests of residents like you. We're pasting the link to the survey in the chat. It takes 3 minutes to complete. It will go a long way toward improving our city.
I'm muted. People's State of the City has always been about putting the community voice front and center, and we really want you to help us move us into action. Please take a moment and take the survey. Thank you all so much. Throwing it back over to you, James.
Thanks, Victor and Maggie. If you have a minute, take the survey. It just takes a few moments, or if you want to open it, bookmark it, come back to it later, and then most key of all, share it with people afterwards. That's going to be key to building and winning this vision. Next, a little bit of what we mentioned earlier. I want to introduce Joanna to talk about the Long Beach People's Budget.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So happy to have you all join us today. My name is Joanna Diaz. My pronouns are she, her, and ella, and I'm with Long Beach Forward, where our vision is that race and income do not determine one's future in Long Beach. It's a community where everyone is safe, connected, and healthy. Our mission, to create a healthy Long Beach with low-income communities of color by building community knowledge, leadership, and power. Part of the way that we're doing that with Long Beach Forward is through partnering with all of our amazing organizational partners that you have seen here and more. And I'm here with you all tonight or this evening to ask you for your support for our people's budget. And so folks have spoken about it a little bit throughout the program, and several of the folks here are also a part of that fight. And we're asking you to join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. in front of City Hall as the coalition of over 12 Long Beach organizations demand resources for our Black communities, our communities of color, our immigrant and undocumented friends, family, and neighbors, our aging communities, and our neighbors and fellow tenants as they present their budget demands to ensure that the mayor and the city council fund our future in a way that elevates safety and justice. Please join us tomorrow, again at 2 p.m. in front of City Hall for our press conference that we're having. Bring your posters, bring your chanting voice, and feel free to visit our Long Beach Forward website. You can also visit us on Facebook for more information. I know we have folks dropping those links in the chat for you as well to follow us and support us. Again, help us advocate for this funding that is necessary to accomplish our vision and our mission that we have as a collective community. We'd love to see you there. Please join us tomorrow. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Joanna, for filling us in on the People's Budget Campaign launching tomorrow, 2 p.m. outside Long Beach City Hall. So next, we're going to bring in Nereida and welcome her to talk about the Healthy Long Beach campaign.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nereida Soto. I am a lead organizing fellow with the Long Beach Forward Healthy LB team. I first want to take a moment to honor the lives impacted and lost due to COVID-19. We see huge disparities in BIPOC communities, high death rates and low vaccination rates. Our Latinx community makes up 43% of the population in Long Beach. However, we make up 41% of the COVID-19 related deaths. While the city celebrates 70% vaccination rates, our Latinx community makes up less than 30% of that 70%, and our Black community only makes up 8%.
Hi, Nereida. Sorry, can you choose English and then mute original audio? Some of us can't hear you. Go to the bottom of your screen. In the little globe, you'll see English, and then choose mute original audio.
All right.
Okay, we're good now. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you start from the top?
Yeah, I'll start from the top. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Nereida Soto. I am the lead organizing fellow with Long Beach Forward Healthy LB team. I want to take a moment to honor the lives impacted and lost due to COVID-19. We have seen huge disparities in our BIPOC communities, high death rates and low vaccination rates. Our Latinx community makes up 43% of the population in Long Beach. However, we only make up 41%. However, we actually make up 41% of the COVID-19 related deaths. While the city celebrates 70% vaccination rates, our Latinx community makes up less than 30% of that, and our Black community less than 8%. We have been walking door to door in our areas most impacted by COVID-19, having one-on-one conversation with community members, giving them the information and confidence they need to get vaccinated. We have prioritized focus in areas such as 90813, where vaccination rates are still below 40%, in comparison to areas like 90815, where vaccination rates exceed 70%. Our Healthy LB team at Long Beach Forward invites you all to come walk with us to help close the gap in vaccination rates in our communities of color. Our communities deserve health, and health means vaccinations. Thank you.
Thank you, Nereida. Next, I'm going to welcome up Susanna with Cambodia Town Thrives.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Susanna Siem, and I'm with the United Cambodian Community and a member of Cambodia Town Thrives. Cambodia Town is home to the most multiracial, multicultural community of Black, Indigenous, Latinx, and Asian American Pacific Islander residents, including a large population of the Cambodians in the US. Our neighborhood has faced historical redlining, housing segregation, and disinvestment, and now faces increasing pressures of gentrification and displacement. Out of these gentrification pressures, the Cambodia Town Thrives Collaborative formed in 2020 to uplift community voices to shape the future vision and development of the neighborhood. After a year of community engagement, the Cambodia Town Thrives Community Draft Vision is now ready to be released. Follow Cambodia Town Thrives on social media for the latest on the vision plan and how to get involved in supporting community investment without displacement. Thank you.
All right, bonus points for props. I see you. Thank you, Susanna. Thanks for joining us. Next, I'm going to welcome up Jose with Best Start Central Long Beach.
Thank you, James. Hello, everyone. Again, Jose Beltran with Best Start here at Long Beach Forward. I am going to encourage all of you to spread the word and have folks send children and families our way through our Best Start survey. I'm going to drop it here on the chat. That's our general web page. What we collect in this survey is general info about families and the needs that they might have. I'm going to drop the English one as well as the Spanish survey. If you meet our needs requirements, we'll be offering a grocery card. And with that, I'll either pass it on to James or Nubia.
Thanks, Jose. That's perfectly said. I'll pass it over to Nubia with the Parent Committee.
Hi, my name is Nubia Flores. I'm the lead parent organizer at Long Beach Forward. My work focuses on supporting parents around their concerns and issues that affect their children in our school communities and our school district of Long Beach Unified. We provide one-on-one support for parents in all areas around advocating for their children as students within the public school system. We provide support when parents want to organize around issues around systemic change. We provide leadership development, trainings around organizing and advocacy, parent-to-parent support, and parent education. Our work is focused around what the community of parents want to focus on to improve their school. Distance learning, the school shutdown, the digital divide, lack of services for students with disabilities, and the gross lack of language access that added so many barriers to parents advocating for their children during this pandemic have shown the great inequities in our Long Beach schools. And no one has been greater impacted than Black students, students of color, and students with disabilities. If you're a parent in need of support for your child, or you're a parent interested in addressing an issue on a wider level that would improve the quality of education for students on a systemic level, we invite you to join our parent committee. They're going to drop the link if you want to sign up, and I'll follow up with you. Join us to help shape what parent power looks like in Long Beach. Do you want to change this system that is leaving out so many students and their families for one student, or do you want to change it for all students? We invite you to join. Thanks.
Thank you, Nubia. Thank you, Jose, again. Next, I'm going to introduce Beto with Long Beach Residents Empowered.
Hello, everybody. Really happy to be here. My name is Norberto Lopez. I'm the current project director with Long Beach Residents Empowered. aka Libre. And our mission is to advance justice in disadvantaged communities through the creation and preservation of affordable housing, renter protections, and community economic development. And throughout the pandemic,
Beto, sorry
Yes.
to cut you off. Can you choose a language under the interpretation options at the bottom of your screen?
Okay, English, there we go.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll run it one more time.
You're good now. Thank you.
All right, cool. Hello, everybody. So my name is Norberto Lopez. I'm the current project director at Long Beach Residents Empowered, aka Libre, and our mission is to advance justice in disadvantaged communities through the creation and preservation of affordable housing, renter protections, and economic development. As you all know, right, the pandemic has been a major hit on housing, and it was already bad. It's only gotten worse throughout the pandemic. And as of right now, we're trying to ensure that these renter protections are extended for another 3 months. We wish we could go longer, but nonetheless, we know that it's an uphill battle. But we are definitely asking for people's support right now to call into the county and ask your supervisor to extend the protections up until September. We are also asking folks to take our housing survey to help inform us on what are the protections that people need and how can they also help protect their homes for the next few months and the next year ahead of us as people start to recover from the pandemic. And so I'll go ahead and drop the links right now in the chat. And thank you so much, everybody, and continue the good fight.
Thank you, Beto. And thank you for Long Beach Residents Empowered for being here. And if you are some of our remaining speakers, I'm just gonna do a quick housekeeping to make sure that you have selected English as your channel or Spanish to make sure that everyone, regardless of the channel they are on, can hear you. So next, I'm gonna introduce Audrina with Black Lives Matter Long Beach.
Hey, everybody, can you see me? Hi, I'm Audrina Redmond with Black Lives Matter here in Long Beach. Once again, very honored to be a part of this collective of beautiful people doing the work, digging in, caring about something greater than themselves, and trying to build a world where we can all be free, where we can move from diversity, inclusion, and equity to liberation. And that's a whole thing of changing our viewpoint. Let me say a little bit about what we're doing as Black Lives Matter Long Beach. And I can't say that without acknowledging that in a few days, actually, July 13th, we'll be celebrating 8 years of formal, coming into birth, because July 13th, 2014 was the day that the verdict in the Trayvon Martin case was announced, and our organization was born out of sheer disbelief that a vigilante pretending to be a cop had gotten off murdering a child after being told not to. And so that brings me forward to last summer, to that summer because of the COVID, where and the murder of George Floyd on top of it, and we're all at home and we watched this horrific thing happen right there in front of us. I cannot unsee what I saw, and I know that many of you can't unsee what you saw either. It was blatant example of what we Black folk and what some other folks in this country have been saying for years about police abuse. And the reason why we called for defund the police got a new ignition, a new light up from that. It's unfortunate, God rest his soul, George Floyd, and let's say his name 3 times. If you all would just say it to yourselves: George Floyd, say his name, George Floyd, say his name, George Floyd, say his name, George Floyd. But what his murder and the COVID meant for us last year was that the inequities in our city, you couldn't hide from them. They were there. Our city jumped into response with something called racial reconciliation. And many of you on this call may have participated in those many, many hours of discussions, trying to draw up a document that would set a pace for what our city needed to be doing in terms of allocating monies. One of the things that came out of that was we all of a sudden were reminded that we have a health department in this city. We are very fortunate to have a health department in our city, and that health department was woefully underfunded. That health department did not have the resources to do what it needed to do for mental health services, which we know is one of the reasons why folks call the police, because they have a family member or someone in the community who's having a moment and we don't know who else to call. So we call 911. Well, what I'm saying, and BLM is saying, we need to move some of those monies away from the police department and put them into our health department so that we can hire people who attend Cal State Long Beach, people who attend our community college, and who have degrees in areas of specialty to deal with people with mental health crises and or people with other crises stemming from drug abuse, homelessness, and even domestic violence. Those are the kinds of things in places where we need to put our resources rather than the huge chunk. It's somewhere between 44 and 48% of our city's budget goes to the police department. Those monies need to be moved to our health department. And at present, the health department, because of our work last summer, got an additional boost of $1.5 million that's separate from the monies it received for COVID. But again, for what the health department needs to do, that is not enough funding. It is not. And Measure Us is depleting funds. So those monies that are promised to the racial reconciliation work will decline over time. So what we need to do is move our cannabis dollars, cannabis tax dollars over to our health department and to alternative police response vehicles. So my time is up. I think I am going to drop in the chat like everybody else, a link where you can complete a survey we are taking. We are asking you to participate in so that we can gauge where folks are, understand a little more where folks are, and then also to invite you to visit Verified Black Owned. If you Google Verified Black Owned and support those businesses that are attempting to thrive in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrina, for joining us tonight. Next, I'm going to introduce Jamilette with the Long Beach Immigrant Rights Coalition.
Thank you, James. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? All right, just to make sure that everybody's still here, go ahead and write a link, a little heart on the chat if you have heard of the Long Beach Immigrants Rights Coalition. Go ahead and take your time. If you have not heard of us, good thing you're here today because you'll be learning about us. So my name is Jamilette. My pronouns are she, her. I am a community organizer with the Long Beach Immigrants Rights Coalition. We are powerful of intergenerational movement of immigrants abolishing oppressive systems and creating liberatory practices grounded in healing, love, and justice. We envision a world where immigrant communities live in dignity, feel safe, and have opportunities to thrive. LBIRC is building and sustaining a thriving immigrant-led movement to end criminalization of immigrants and secure bold protections and opportunities that allow immigrants communities to thrive. Here are some examples of how we can do that. The Long Beach Justice Fund provides free legal representation to community members in deportation proceedings. Our Leadership Academy provides political education workshops to immigrant community members to gain tools to become advocates in local and state campaigns like stopping transfers from jails to prisons and fighting for health for all, regardless of immigration status. The Protection Not Detention campaign, it is a grassroots-led effort of local, regional, and statewide community and faith-based organizations advocating for transparency, oversight, and accountability from the federal government's immigrant facility and Long Beach. Children deserve to be cared for and we have no place in big scale facilities. Join us during our June 30th webinar at 5 p.m. where we will be talking about how we need to reimagine and how we welcome immigrant children. Follow us also on social media where you will learn about upcoming events and how to get involved. Follow us at LBIRC 562. We ask you to take action by joining us in this year's budget fight. This is how we bring change, one of the many ways, right? Imagine the impossible, where we will build and continue to demand funding for community programs like the Long Beach Justice Fund. Lastly, please consider donating to our organization's work by donating to the following link. Thank you, everybody, and I hope that we can become visionaries together and create some really amazing change and action. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamilet. All right, next, I am going to introduce Hilda with the Puente Latino Association.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Oh, where are they?
I believe you need to make sure that you select a language. I can't hear you on the bottom.
I did.
So on the bottom of your screen, you should have an option for
Yeah, I got it.
There we go.
It switched back. I already had it set when you warned us before. So this isn't Hilda. This is Kirk, Hilda's husband. I'm a founding board member of the Puente Latino Association. Thank you, James, for introducing us. And hi, everybody. It's great to be here. Puente strives to promote social equity by partnering with other organizations and serving as a bridge between the community and its available resources, to activate leaders and empower families to become involved in creating healthy, resilient, and equitable communities. We envision a joyful, united, and engaged community where people have the skills, knowledge, and leadership to gain control over the factors and decisions that shape their lives. Puente Latino Association works in underserved neighborhoods that are facing critical challenges and are more affected by food disparity, pollution, climate change, access to open green space, language access, and little or no civic engagement. We understand people in these neighborhoods feel forgotten and powerless to change their environment. We also recognize there is a dire need to build the bridges between artists in the community, two disparate groups that are necessary for communities to move forward. We partner with artists and residents to address these challenges and initiate positive change. Puente uses art and cultural events such as murals, community beautification projects, Cinco de Mayo and Dia de los Muertos events to connect our common humanity and promote understanding, tolerance, and pride. Puente realizes everyone needs access to skills, resources, systems of investment, and engagement to create practical and transformational changes in their neighborhoods. Puente, we have a few upcoming events. This Saturday, we'll be hosting a Color of Pride event for all ages at Ricardo's Nursery as part of Pride Month, led by local artist Lucas Gordon and sponsored by the Long Beach Arts Council. We also have our bi-weekly food distribution for COVID relief on July 3rd. And please like and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Puente LBC, and message us if you'd like to volunteer or support any of our events. We really need to continue to activate the community and do good work out there. So join us to build healthy, resilient, and equitable communities. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kirk. All right, we're nearing the end. As we round this out, I want to introduce and bring up Romeo with the Filipino Migrant Center.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Romeo Hebron. My pronouns are he, him. I'm with the Filipino Migrant Center, and we aim to educate, organize, and mobilize low-income Filipinos throughout SoCal, and specifically in Long Beach on the west side, where there's really the highest concentration of working-class Filipinos in the city. Two of the things that I just wanted to share with you all tonight is, one is around our work with domestic workers. So we do a lot of Know Your Rights education and filing wage claims with domestic workers. This includes housekeepers, nannies, caregivers, because there's really a lot of widespread exploitation and wage theft that happens in the domestic work industry. And so these are the folks who take care of our elderly, who take care of our family members, our homes, our buildings. And so we want to ensure that they have those same rights. And so one of the campaigns that we're working on right now is SB 321, which works to secure the rights and protections for these workers, because right now they're currently excluded in the state of California under Cal OSHA standards. And so we want Governor Newsom to sign this bill. It made it all the way to him last year, but he vetoed it, saying it was going to be too much of a burden on employers. But this year we have so much more momentum that we want to continue building. So SB 321 is one campaign we're working on. And then the second point I just wanted to bring up is around the Filipino American Agenda. So this covers many different points around frontline workers, essential workers, students, educators, and so many other people who've been impacted by the pandemic. But for everyone here, one of the points that's covered within this PhilAm agenda is the Philippine Human Rights Act. And so since 2018, over $500 million of our US tax dollars that come out of our checks are going to support a brutal regime in the Philippines. And these are attacks that are happening against the people in the Philippines. And so for us as an organization, we're concerned with this because our base and our members continue to stay in touch with their family who are experiencing these attacks back home in the Philippines. And so we want that money to get cut from US military aid to be funded more towards things like the people's budgets in our local communities. So we'll drop links for folks to get involved with us and to follow us on social media. And congrats on the 10th People's State of the City. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Romeo. Thanks to the Filipino Migrant Center for joining us tonight. Next, and almost towards the end, we have Nada with the Long Beach Area Peace Network.
Hi. Somehow I'm not showing up, but you can hear me, I'm sure. The Long Beach Area Peace Network is a grassroots network of community organizations and individuals who are dedicated to serving the cause of peace at home and abroad. We also support local and national organizations that fight for social, economic, and environmental justice. One example of that would be our work with actually the Filipino community. We have lobbied with Congressman Lowenthal around the Philippines Human Rights Act. One of the things I want to say is when we look at the national budget, we can see that the largest proportion of our budget, aside from Medicare and Social Security, goes to past, present, and probably future wars. If we want to defund the police, the first thing we need, or at the same time, we need to defund the military. Putting that money into social services will make a tremendous difference in the lives of all people in this country and obviously people in Long Beach as well. Our coalition has worked on a number of issues. I'm going to put in the chat the other organizations that we work closely with: Military Families Speak Out, Veterans for Peace. I've got more on my list. Pavunga Wetlands Protectors and Friends of Pavunga. We are working very hard to ensure that we maintain the environment and that the rights of everybody are included. Thanks.
Thank you, Nada. All right, and lastly, just to round out some of our calls to action, I'm going to introduce Ravi, also with Best Start Central Long Beach.
Hey everybody, my name is Ravi Ahmed. I live in 90813, the sounds of which you may be able to hear outside my window. I'm, among other things, involved with Best Start Central Long Beach, which is an initiative of First 5 LA. We work here in Long Beach through Long Beach Forward and the nonprofit partnership with about 200 families mostly in Central, West, and North Long Beach. And in addition to connecting folks to services like the weekly grocery delivery that we do, have been doing in collaboration with LBIRC and DSA. We also support, a lot of our members are also part of Libre, a lot of the other organizations here. And it's wonderful to see everybody. One of the things that's really cool about Best Start is that in addition to connecting folks to services and campaigns like Cambodia Town Thrives or the housing work that's going on, we're also able to allocate a lot of money by community members. One of the most wonderful things about our work is that community gets to decide, and we have a range of exciting projects from mental health training for families to supporting folks who want to get licensed as childcare workers, as well as supporting the civic engagement work of organizations like Puente. So if you'd like to learn more about Best Start, if you know families with kids 0 to 5, please go ahead and click the link, sign up for our emails, and we will reach out to you. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, thank you to all of the organizers and the presenters who joined us for our call to actions to talk about what is going on in the city of Long Beach and all of the amazing community work and organizing that has happened, and inviting us to join all the different ways that we can get involved ourselves, our friends, our neighbors, our families, all in different ways. So I appreciate all of the time that folks took in your evening to come and join us for that. This past year, the beginning of the pandemic since March 2020 has been hard. It's been difficult for a lot of us, and none of us ever anticipated we would have our 10th annual People State of the City virtually, zooming in through your computers or your living room from whatever part of the city you're watching. We really hope that next year we get to come back and gather in person and break bread together and connect and share and laugh and energize each other and empower each other to come together and fight for and struggle for the better Long Beach that we know we can achieve. Tonight, we recapped some of the amazing moments, some of the difficulties of the past year, going through racial uprisings, going through a global pandemic. But what we know is true, and what we know has continued to stay true throughout every People State of the City address that we've ever delivered, is that it's the power of us coming together. It's the power of overcoming fear, overcoming that loneliness, and coming together to actually work together to actually change our world and our community for the better. It starts by us taking that step. And for so many people, even looking at who's viewing online, who's been sharing, who's been speaking, the People State of the City has been that moment for a lot of us to get connected, to meet new people, and get energized about building that better world that we know is possible. So I hope that you share not only this information with other people in your community, within your city, within your neighborhood, and we look forward on behalf of all of the organizers, and I want to thank the entire team who's behind all of the computers right now, helping put this event on tonight. Thank you so much for your work, and we look forward to seeing you out there in the streets. Thank you, everyone, and have an amazing night.